Welcome everybody to Vagina Dialogues. My name is Shirley Weir. I am the founder of Menopause Chicks, and that presumably is how all of you have found your way here tonight. I also teach a class called the Menopause Masterclass. The next one is on June 15th, and I just wanted to include this slide here. Maybe you've already taken it, which is fabulous. If you haven't, I hope you'll go to the link, ifeelamazing.com with dashes in between I feel and feel amazing. This is like another jam-packed hour, but it really goes through the Hormone Health 101, the class that we never got. Might be the best health class you've ever taken since 7th grade. So I hope to see you on June 15th. There's a ton of bonuses, including a copy of my book, Mokita, which you can download, and there's some savings gift cards in there as well. But I just want to keep on going tonight. So why the Vagina Dialogues? I mean, when I started Menopause Chicks, I didn't even know anything about vaginal health, although my sister, who is 10 years older than I am, she reached menopause at age 36. And that's a story that I tell in chapter 1 of my book. But the reason I'm bringing it up tonight is because she got very little support from her health team at the time. As you can imagine, this was like early 90s. And all her doctor said to her was, you better look into a few things, because after menopause, everything sags and dries up. This is what male physicians say to women when they reach menopause early. Now, the good news is she's her own best health advocate. She did lots of research, and she's a healthy 65-year-old today. But I started Menopause Chicks 10 years ago, and my experiences were with mood and sleep and changes to my period and anxiety, depression. I didn't even know what I didn't know at that time. And that is how important our vaginal health is to our overall health as we plan for the next 3 to 5 decades. So that's what we're going to do tonight. And there we go. Want to specifically talk about vulva and vaginal health. And in the medical term that's used for this is genitourinary syndrome of menopause, or GSM. I don't use that term for 2 reasons, really. No member has ever joined the Menopause Chicks community and said, I think I'm showing signs of GSM. I mean, it's just not common language with physicians or with women. And the other reason is that I really don't like syndrome and menopause in the same sentence. And then the third reason would be that vulva and vaginal health is important at all ages and stages, not just those of us who are navigating our midlife journey. So turns out there's actually 3 reasons. And I did this slide today. I actually did a version of it earlier this week. You may have seen it on social media. When I host the Vagina Dialogues once a month, so every last Thursday of every month. And I made a commitment at the beginning of the year that I was going to find some better visuals besides fruit and flowers to depict the Vagina Dialogues. And I haven't quite got there. And, you know, there's lots of reasons why. One is the vagina is internal part of our body. So most of the images that you've seen or that I've seen that are referring to this conversation or this topic are actually pictures of the vulva, which is the external part of our body. And it's really important that we are distinguishing between vulva and vagina, and that we're not saying things like vaginal area. I mean, when we talk about our mouth, we don't say the nose area. So we have to use the right terminology. And tonight we're also going to be talking about other aspects of pelvic health. Not all aspects of pelvic health. I'm not a pelvic health expert, but we are going to touch upon how vulva and vaginal health leads to conversations about bladder health, specifically urinary tract infections, could be incontinence. We're going to talk about dryness and moisturizing, and not a lot of flowers and fruit, although some of those images still stay in this presentation to keep it visually interesting. So here's the most important section: the answer to why we need to have this conversation. And even after I've been doing this work for 10 years, I will still speak with health professionals and general public who assume that this is a conversation related to sexual health. And it is related to sexual health, but it's not only related to sexual health. So why do we want to prioritize our vaginal health? Well, because we want to be able to sit comfortably. We want to be able to move comfortably. We want to be able to go to yoga. We want to be able to dance. We want to feel confident and amazing. We definitely want to avoid urinary tract infections. We want to avoid incontinence. We want to avoid pelvic organ prolapse. That's when the organs descend, sometimes into the vagina, sometimes bulging outside of the body. We want to prevent that. We want to be able to wear our clothes and jeans that we want to. I was so taken aback when a physician that I was interviewing a couple of years ago shared with me a story of one of her patients who came into her office and said, "Oh, Dr. Kara, I'm so glad it's summer now because I can just wear my sundresses." And Dr. Kara didn't quite make the connection at first. And then the patient went on to explain that she could no longer wear jeans, shorts, pants. It hurt too much. Vaginal dryness was impacting the quality of her life to that extreme. And then, of course, we want everyone to be able to enjoy comfortable penetrative sex if they choose. I don't know why I went backwards there for a second. And then I've got one more. Can you see that, or is my head covering it? This is a biggie. So it's pointing to move, and it says brain health. Now, why or how would vaginal health be connected to our brain health? Well, what is the first thing that happens when a woman experiences vaginal dryness, vaginal atrophy, can no longer move comfortably because she has a pelvic organ prolapse, or maybe even a urinary tract infection or incontinence is keeping her from exercising for a full hour without needing to pee? She stops moving. And when we stop moving, our brain health and our mental health and our overall health is significantly impacted by that. So take care of our vagina, do some of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight, and we're actually positively influencing our brain health, which is, I think, is pretty cool in a way, right? Oh, and this, so, oh my goodness, costly is what the screen says on there. We're going to talk about incontinence and how expensive that can be. And if you're at all motivated by that, I've got some pad math that will show you what people who are facing incontinence are actually facing with their bank accounts. The other big thing that I learned, was shocked to hear. I mean, I think there's so many myths and misconceptions and assumptions that we need to clarify in this whole space of women's midlife health. But I need you to know that vaginal dryness does not get better with time. Your sleep might get better. Your hot flashes might get better. Your mood changes might get better. Your period challenges will definitely go away or get better, but vaginal dryness does not get better with time. And because of estrogen decline in postmenopause and because of hyaluronic acid decline, 80% of us will experience vaginal dryness. And currently, today, less than 4% are getting relief. So let's talk about vulva and vaginal dryness and why it happens. Well, as I just mentioned, hyaluronic acid is a naturally occurring molecule. Our body makes it on its own, but it starts to decline in our 30s and 40s. So hyaluronic acid is this super strong molecule, and it keeps our eyes moist and our mouth and our joints. And it helps to keep all of our skin, including the vulva and vagina, lubricated. After menopause, the decline of hyaluronic acid is quite significant. Fluctuating hormones in perimenopause. So for those of you that have taken the masterclass, this will be a repeat, but in perimenopause, hormones are fluctuating, sometimes wildly, sometimes it's a bit of a roller coaster ride. Then once we have gone 12 consecutive months period free, we reach menopause, and then we are in postmenopause for the rest of our life. Well, what happens is estrogen goes for a very steep decline. It's like a cliff dive after menopause. And that can be a surprise to many women who might have had not such a roller coaster ride, maybe just a couple of mild to moderate bumps during perimenopause. And then they wake up in their mid to late 50s or early 60s, and they are experiencing the effects of that estrogen decline. So that shows up again as eye dryness, mouth dryness, skin dryness, joints maybe being stiffer than they ever used to be before, and vulva and vaginal dryness, which can, lead to pain with penetrative sex, can lead to discomfort during everyday activities, could lead to more reoccurring urinary tract infections or issues with incontinence and prolapse. There are other reasons why someone might be experiencing vulva and vaginal dryness, and they include postpartum. So you know how hormones are fluctuating during pregnancy and after pregnancy. That could be a reason. So I mention these because it's really important that we have these conversations, not just amongst ourselves and with one another, but also with the women who are younger than we are and with the women who are older than we are. The birth control pill is a big culprit for vulva and vaginal dryness. I know it's ironic, but it just pains me to think of how many women are taking the birth control pill and then maybe potentially experiencing vaginal dryness or pain with penetrative sex, and they might think they're the only ones. So I hope you'll take some of what you learned here tonight and spread the word. And then, of course, we all know someone who is either undergoing or has gone through breast cancer treatment, which can impact vaginal health and other medications and other health conditions. Okay, so what can we do about it? Well, we can prevent it, which has always been my strategy. And forgive me, I didn't mention that I'm 55 years old. I reached menopause at age 49, so I'm 6 years post-menopause. I do take hormone therapy as guided by the hormone nurse and my own naturopath. I've had a few naturopaths in my lifetime. This was something, once I started learning about vaginal dryness, that I did always want to prevent. But what I want you to know is that it is both preventable and treatable. So the only thing that is not on the menu is giving up. You cannot give up. There is always something else that we can try. So I put P here for preventative strategies, and then I put T for treatment because there's some crossover. Number one, have lots of sex and orgasms. The energy when you are having sex alone or with a partner sends a lot of natural lubrication to the pelvic floor. It has a P in brackets because this is a preventative strategy. Please listen. If you are already experiencing pain with penetrative sex, I am not telling you to engage in more sexual activity. But if you are in your last year of perimenopause, for example, maybe your first year of postmenopause, this is the time for putting your own name at the top of the to-do list, because there are health benefits. Number 2, but maybe should be in the number 1 slot, is regular pelvic floor exercise. This is both a preventative strategy and a treatment strategy. Please see a pelvic floor physiotherapist and practice pelvic floor exercises on a daily or regular basis. Number 3 is moisturize with hyaluronic acid. So this is an opportunity to give your body back what it used to make on its own. And we all moisturize our hands and our face and our elbows and our feet. And we are likely at a time in our lives when we need to moisturize our vulva and our vagina. I have had the good fortune of working with some amazing researchers, gynecologists, and pharmacists on this. So we're going to talk about the Menopause Chicks vaginal moisturizer that was co-created by members of our community and Pure Pharmacy 3 years ago. So that's pretty exciting. But hyaluronic acid is the key ingredient. And then 4 is hormone therapy, which is preventative and a treatment strategy. And what I'm talking about when I talk about hormone therapy in number 4 is systemic hormone therapy. So perhaps like me, I started hormone therapy when I was 48 and I reached menopause when I was 49. The systemic hormone therapy that I was taking may have been enough in those first few years of my hormone therapy journey to prevent vaginal dryness. But after I reached menopause, it wasn't enough. Estrogen goes for that steep decline. And that is an opportunity for number 5 to have a conversation with your healthcare team about the benefits of localized estrogen therapy. So localized means vaginal. And there's many ways that you can apply estrogen to the vagina. It can be a cream, it can be an insert, it can be a ring, and it's safe. It doesn't pass through the liver. Minuscule amount enters the bloodstream. It just really is effective at working on the dryness that exists. Now you'll notice in number 5 that there is only a T in brackets. So this is only a treatment option. And the reason, I mean, it's a little unfortunate, but it's reality. A physician can't prescribe a prescription unless a condition exists. And so you can't request localized vaginal estrogen if you don't have vaginal dryness. It's like you have to wait for the grape to turn into a raisin before you can get the very thing that will help you turn the raisin back into a grape. It's crazy, but and I'm sure that there are some physicians who get it, but it's a story that I hear in the Menopause Chicks community a lot, and it's considered a treatment for vaginal dryness. And then if those things, so this is like pretty much in order, although I might reverse the number 1 and number 2, there are still things that we can do to treat vaginal dryness. One is red light therapy. So an example of that would be this product, which is called the V-Sculpt, and it's made by a company called Joylux. And I don't have it charged right now, but this area here lights up. So this is where the red light therapy would happen once the device is inserted, right? And it works to restore collagen and natural moisture back into the cells of the vaginal wall. So it's a home use device, which a lot of people really appreciate. I know some of my colleagues really like the results that they see with their clients with this product. And you can order it online and use it at home. And then number 7 would be laser therapy by a physician. So the most popular brand name there is Mona Lisa Touch. And there are doctors, gynecologists who have the laser therapy equipment in their office. And I know women who have pursued that. I know women who are cancer survivors who have pursued that. I know that there are a lot of stories, but it's not accessible to everyone. And so that's why it's really important for me when we do these the Vagina Dialogues events, is to make sure that you have a picture of the entire menu of what is available to you so that you can get informed and then choose the journey that's right for you. All right. Oh, this was just me color coding what's preventative, what's a preventative and treatment option, and then what's a treatment option. If I have not underscored this enough for you in the Menopause Chicks community, my wish is that everyone moisturizes their vagina and sees a pelvic floor physiotherapist. It's really, really important. I wish it was as commonplace as going to the dentist. It's preventative, it's educational, it's non-invasive. The internal part of the assessment is such a small part of your 45 or 60-minute appointment. You get a protocol, like an exercise routine that's customized for you. And I tell you, I didn't even know what pelvic floor physio, or if you're in the United States, it's called a pelvic floor physical therapist. But they can, prevent and help treat incontinence, prolapse, pain with sex, vaginal dryness. They also are very informative when it comes to rectal health. You can have a rectocele, which is the name for a rectum prolapse when it bulges into the vagina. So many women deal with constipation and tailbone pain or back pain. All of those things can be assessed by a pelvic floor physiotherapist. So super important. Another resource that's available for you is the Vagina Coach. And many of you will know Kim Vopney. She is the Vagina Coach. This is her website. She's got great, excellent social media channels. She also has an app, which is called the Buff Muff app, and you can download that at vaginacoach.com. I think you go to programs. Kim has amazing videos to teach you how to prioritize your pelvic health. And the other thing about the app, I'll be honest with you, is I love the reminder, because sometimes I'm not always that consistent or compliant. So, technology has a role to play in our health. And if it's going to remind me to take 10 minutes a day to do those exercises, it's definitely well worth it. So I think you'll enjoy it too. Okay, I want to talk about moisturizers and lubricants. Should you use a moisturizer or a lubricant? And the answer is yes, and both. The difference being is that moisturizers are an investment in our health, and lubricants are a one-time use thing. So you use lubricants like you would use oil in the frying pan. They provide a barrier to friction for sexual activity. They do not invest in the long-term moisturizing of the skin cells. Moisturizers should be used away from sexual activity. So part of your regular routine, like whether you shower and brush your teeth and then moisturize, to give the hyaluronic acid a great opportunity to be absorbed into your skin. Hyaluronic acid is so strong, as I mentioned, it can carry 1,000 times its weight in moisture. So, you just want to be able to maximize that. But I want to clarify the difference between moisturizers and lubricants, because sometimes I have heard even healthcare professionals will advise their patients to just use coconut oil. Coconut oil is a lubricant. It's a messy lubricant too. It's never been studied. It's probably not harmful to use as a lubricant to provide a barrier to friction, but there's no long-term investment in terms of you correcting the lost moisture from the decline of estrogen or the decline of hyaluronic acid. Hopefully I've kept that straight. I include this slide. It's a picture of my local pharmacy, just to kind of underscore how confusing and how we get here, how we get to this place of needing to do an hour's worth of education for women. Because if you just go down this aisle in your local drugstore, it's quite overwhelming. I mean, on the top shelf, you've got some personal massagers, and then you have products that say they're both a moisturizer and a lubricant. I find that hard to believe. I don't know how well it would work as a moisturizer if it's, like rubbed off during sexual activity. And how do you decide which one is right for you at what price point versus something that's made for you by a pharmacist, compounded with two main ingredients? I invite everyone, no matter whether you're purchasing moisturizers, lubricants, vitamins, food products, whatever it is, turn the package around and read the ingredients. If the first item on the list is water, that means it mostly contains water. A lot of these products need to have a very long shelf life, because from the time that they're made to the time they get to your home is a very long time. So it's, there's preservatives and additives, and there's words in there that I can't even pronounce. So it's one of the reasons I think that the members of the Menopause Chicks community like this product, which is made by pharmacists, primarily including hyaluronic acid and a little bit of vitamin E. And I've got a slide here with some of the testimonials, but you can go to purepharmacy.com/menopause-chicks or moisturizeyourvagina.com and read the reviews there for yourself. This slide is actually from the International Society of Gynecologists. It's from a year ago, May 2021. And this physician, Dr. Petra Stute, she's a gynecologist in Europe, and she is responsible for the research on hyaluronic acid. Came out in 2013, and her research team showed that hyaluronic acid is as effective, so equally as effective as localized estrogen therapy in the prevention and treatment of vaginal dryness. So that means that you can use both, and many of our members do. Many of our members like knowing that they're giving their body back estrogen that it needs, and they're giving their body back hyaluronic acid. Some members like to use hyaluronic acid because it's something they don't need to go to their doctor. They don't need to get a prescription. They don't need to get the prescription renewed. Maybe they're not taking hormone therapy. Maybe they're a breast cancer patient that, their oncologist has recommended that they don't, so that they have an option. And if I can do anything tonight, is to continue to underscore that we have options in this area. So that was the reason for including that. These are some testimonials from when we first launched the product, actually. And these are some of the reviews that you can go and read at moisturizeyourvagina.com. I want to include something a bit more about lubricants. So again, key learning for me in this area. I did not know this before, but I want you to be really aware that most lubricants will not have their pH level or their osmolality listed on their packaging. They're not required to do so. So you need to be concerned with not using any product that's going to change the natural pH of your vagina, which is around 4.5 to 5.5. And the two biggest culprits are any lubricant that promises tingling, warming, peppermint smelling. Stay away from all of that, because it's going to change the pH, which makes you more susceptible to infections, and you just don't want to do that. And the other thing is that some of the products with the biggest marketing budget are also the biggest culprits. So Just because it's a brand name that you might have seen advertised since you were a teenager doesn't mean that that it's pH balanced. So I found one that I like and use. And so once you find something that you like, you want to spread the word. So this is a product from Good Clean Love. It is pH balanced. You can get it at purepharmacy.com. Incontinence. Why do we need to talk about incontinence when we're talking about vulva and vaginal health? Well, it's all in the pelvic, all part of the pelvic floor. And as we're prioritizing our pelvic health, it interrelates and affects each other. If we can keep our vagina healthy through pelvic floor exercise, through moisturizing, through giving our body the hormones that it used to make on its own, we have a greater chance of avoiding incontinence. If you already experience incontinence, please do see a pelvic floor physiotherapy. Get Kim's app and know that you can reverse it. You can reverse it through physiotherapy. It could also be, something that does require medication or surgery. But before you get there, I really want you to work on physiotherapy, because that stands a better chance of working and being effective for the rest of your life. And remember, I promised some financial dollars when it comes to incontinence. Maybe this will be a motivator for you, or maybe this will be something that you will take to one of your conversations this weekend with all of the women that you love. We're just around the corner from 2025, and the prediction is that the disposable incontinent pad market will be $16 billion by 2025, that 58% of nursing home residents will be using disposable incontinence pads, more females than males. And if you are in your 40s right now, or early 50s, or even early 60s, and experiencing light bladder leakage that doesn't have the opportunity to correct itself, you are probably looking at $1,300 a year in disposable pads. And over the course of 40 years, that equals $52,000. So if we can save you anywhere near that $52,000 by getting you to see a pelvic floor physio, practicing regular pelvic exercises, and really just even thinking and being aware of your bladder health, then I think that's really something that's exciting and important for us to look forward to. I'm including a couple of new slides because on May the 5th, I had the opportunity to host an event with Dr. Colleen McDermott, who is a urogynecologist, and this was all about addressing recurrent UTIs. So remember how we talked about estrogen going for a steep decline in postmenopause? What can go for a steep incline as a result of that is reoccurring urinary tract infections. You might have had a UTI when you were younger, you might have received antibiotics, might not have been a big deal. Reoccurring UTIs result right now in 8 million doctor visits per year. And so that means that there's like that many prescriptions being written for antibiotics, and they can be prevented. There is really good evidence showing the positive impact of cranberry to prevent recurring UTIs. And this is actually a quote from Dr. McDermott. The thing is that just cranberries on their own, or cranberry cocktail, or products that include cranberry, just aren't high enough a concentration of something called I'm not even sure if I can say it. It's underneath the cranberry PAX. So PAX is the short form, but it's actually short for proanthocyanidins. And somebody here can probably say that way better than me. But here's the thing. This product by Utiva, which is recommended by Dr. McDermott, does have the high concentration of PAX that can prevent UTIs. And it's got 9 times more active PAX than other products that say, include cranberry, like something that you might, pull off the shelf and it's a multivitamin and includes cranberry. Or I saw one the other day that was a probiotic that included cranberry. But when I turned it around, like just a trace of cranberries, not the concentration that's here. So it does take some concentrated effort if you want to be able to prevent UTIs. And then the second thing that Dr. McDermott really emphasized in this webinar, and when I send the replay to you tomorrow, I'm going to include the link to this. So I hope that you will watch it as well and maybe share it with your colleagues, with your mother, your grandmother, if you're lucky to have them around, because the impact of UTIs goes way beyond the bladder. You can even experience dementia-like symptoms from a UTI. And that can often lead, not just individuals, but their families and their care teams to emergency rooms or to, through a whole battery of tests, thinking that the individual is developing dementia or Alzheimer's, when really it's a UTI that we can prevent. And if you want more information on the product, it's at utivahealth.com. But as I mentioned, I'm going to send you a copy of the webinar so you can watch it this weekend, because I know you'll want to binge watch it. And that I'm just about to wrap up, and then we're going to jump into the Q&A. So if you have any questions on anything that we've talked about so far, just pop them into the chat. These are the 2 places that you can take you to the same place. Moisturize Your Vagina just goes directly to the vaginal moisturizer. If you have any questions about dosage or anything like that. And then purepharmacy.com/menopause chicks. I have some bonus codes for you. So if, just for showing up tonight or for watching the replay, if you want to order, I have a code for $13 off $100 orders or more, or 10% off, depending on what your preference is. And all of the prices are in Canadian dollars, so it's about 20% less in US dollars, maybe closer to 30 now, I don't know. Shipping is free in Canada for orders over $65, so that would be a non-issue if you're using the $13 code, and shipping is free to the US on orders over 150. So hopefully you like that little gift. And and Utiva is also in the Pure Pharmacy store, or you can order it at utivahealth.com. This is the lubricant that I was talking about, and this is the vaginal moisturizer. Okay, these might be some of your questions. I kind of touched upon coconut oil. I did definitely confirm that you can use localized estrogen therapy and hyaluronic acid at the same time. I just recommend, not because there's any interaction, but I always tell women, apply them at different times of the day, one in the morning and one at night, or every other day. Lots of women only use their localized estrogen therapy like 3 times a week. So I would do it every other day. And the reason for that is because I just want to give both products the optimal chance of absorbing into your skin and working best for you. Yeah, and I'm just going to jump into the chat and see what questions you have. So get that open. How'd I do? Okay. Yes. 7:45. We got lots of, it's 7:45 on the West Coast. I don't know where you are. And I was hoping that we would be under an hour. So that looks like we're going to be just fine. I'm going to stop sharing this. Whoops, what happened? I lost your chat. Here we go. All right. Where's everybody tuning in from tonight? I didn't ask that question at the top because we didn't have an extra couple minutes because of that password thing, but hopefully everybody who wanted to be here was here. And okay, Lena, at first I didn't know what you're talking about. Lena is asking a question about this. So it looks like a banana, I guess. It's actually called a V-Sculpt, and V-Sculpt is manufactured by a company called Joylux. So you can go to joylux.com and get directed to where you can buy V-Sculpt, either in Canada or the US. What makes V-Sculpt effective is that it's red light therapy. So it's going to restore the collagen in the vagina wall. And so that's what red light therapy does. And it's recommended by a lot of my colleagues and very effective. I can't tell you the price point off the top of my head, but you can find that information on their website. I really want to use make sure people are aware of V-Sculpt and laser therapy and localized estrogen therapy, because I never want any of us to give up. So you may be on this call and maybe you're in your late 60s or early 70s or early 80s, and you've been without hyaluronic acid or estrogen for decades. And if that's the case, it's probably going to take a bit of time to get your skin cells back up to where you want them to be in order to sit comfortably and move comfortably and all those things. If you are closer maybe to menopause and you haven't even really experienced vulvar or vaginal dryness yet, I'm not saying this product isn't for you. I'm just saying that there's probably options that would just be an easier, quicker fix for you. So it's like a menu and you get to decide. Okay, I hope that answered your question. Oh, wow, what would be a really, really clean product, no weird chemicals in a product for hyaluronic acid moisturizer? Well, I wouldn't be able to tell you the names of the chemicals, because I don't actually know them, but you know, if you go to any shelf and you pull off a product and turn it around, often you just recognize maybe the first 2 or 3 items that are listed in the ingredients, and then the rest are additives and preservatives. So it's something for you. I mean, maybe they're additives and preservatives, maybe there's something, they have a function, but you might have to speak to a chemist or pharmacist about what their role is in the product. But with lubricants, for example, like this one, the ingredient list is, I don't think you can see it, but it's so super short, and the manufacturer has gone to good lengths to make sure that their product is pH balanced. And that's really important because you want to make sure that you're not setting yourself up for any type of infection. Okay, question. How long after inserting hyaluronic acid do you have to wait before having sex? Thank you for asking this question. In my perfect world, 8 to 10 hours. I want you to apply the moisturizer. I mean, you don't have to wait. I'm just kidding. I was joking. I would hope that you'll apply the vaginal moisturizer away from sexual activity. If you don't wait and you have sex right away, it's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. It just means that, you know, if you moisturize your face and then you rub up against somebody, your face isn't getting the benefit of that moisturizer. And so same thing applies here. The more you can apply the moisturizer away from sexual activity, the greater chance it has to absorb effectively. And then use a lubricant adjacent to sexual activity. Hopefully that answered your question. I can't speak, Lena, to pulps really, because I'm not a gynecologist or a pelvic health expert, but if you want to message me tonight after this call or tomorrow in the Menopause Chicks community, then I can probably direct you to some great resources or to a healthcare professional in your area. Oh, it looks like you're in Port Moody. I live in Port Moody too. So we can chat about how you can find answers or support for your questions in that area. Yay, Victoria. I have tried the Good brand lubricant and found that it burned. Is there an ingredient that I should avoid? I don't know the answer to that. Why it would burn for you might be a sensitivity or an allergy. Hopefully you have a really great investigative healthcare team that you could ask about that. Hopefully there isn't infection present. I assume that you've maybe ruled that out. But if you would like a list of other pH balanced lubricants, I can certainly provide that to you if we do a chat, just as I mentioned to the other members. So you can message me tonight or tomorrow in the Menopause Chicks community, and we can continue to talk about that. Oh, thanks, Lena. Lena just is helping me by posting the link for V-Sculpt. So that's very cool and appreciative. Liz is here and she's from Windsor and she loves the hyaluronic acid moisturizer. Christina from Ottawa, Prince George, Wyerton. I grew up in Wyerton. It's so cool. Yes, and it is $495. Is that, Lena, I think that's the Canadian price. Are there other sources of hyaluronic acid? I've currently used it 2 to 3 pumps daily for about 18 months and still experience painful intercourse. Okay, Deanna, I'm really glad that you brought this up. You will remember in the slides where I show sort of a progression of the options that you have. If you're using the hyaluronic acid moisturizer and you're not seeing a change to the skin of the vulva or the vaginal wall, then I want you to go through the list. And the next one is localized estrogen therapy. Have a conversation with your healthcare provider about the benefit of vaginal estrogen for you. You probably, I'm guessing, your body needs both. So it might not be a case of just using more and more moisturizer. If you are at 2 to 3 pumps a daily, I mean, there's no harm in using it more. Many of our members do use the moisturizer liberally to start, knowing that once dryness improves, they can taper back. But if that's not you, then see a pelvic floor physiotherapist, inquire about localized estrogen therapy for you. And if those things don't work, then know that you still have other options on the menu. And I'd be happy to work with you through that to make sure that you not only have the information that you need, but that you can also choose the journey that's right for you. What is the name of the hyaluronic acid cream you use? So it doesn't really have a name right now. It will in the future, but it's at moisturizeyourvagina.com, and it's a compounded product from Pure Pharmacy. So compounded means made for you. So you place the order online, it's made that day, and it's shipped out the next day. And we're coming up with a great name for the next iteration of it. So stay tuned. Have you heard of women having allergies or sensitivity of redness or burning in both the vagina and vulva because of the laundry, soap, or food? Yes, I have heard all of those things. Our skin is very sensitive, and it's very much a reflection of everything: environment, sleep, stress, what we eat. And the vulva and the vagina are skin. And I think that, I mean, that sounds so basic, but I think our society sometimes forgets. And that if something goes wrong with the pelvic floor, the vagina, there's this automatic assumption that it might be related to, you know, as something, a sexual function, or, you know, something mysterious. It's skin, and it does have allergies, just like, you know, our elbows get dry, or we might develop hives, I know, on our arm or our chest due to an allergy or sensitivity. So speak with your healthcare provider. Don't put it off. It's really, really important. And I promise you, they've all heard it before, and they want you to be well and to feel amazing. And if I can help you with any of that, script tips, or pointing you in the direction of building your healthcare team, then please let me know. Lena, thank you, really. Oh, I think you mean that I live in Port Moody, really. Yes, I do. Would you only go to red light therapy if the moisturizer pelvic floor isn't working? No, no, not at all. Anyone can use it. If you are interested in red light therapy, then you should do your homework and definitely pursue and consider it. Is it for more severe dryness? I don't think that that's what it says on the packaging. I don't think that the folks at Joylux would say that. I think they would say it's a product for everyone. But, I've talked to women who have jumped to that as an option right away because Kim Bopney, the vagina coach, has recommended it, or it's just something they're really super curious about and they want to have the healthiest vagina on earth. And then I have other women who are like, I don't think I'll be buying a $400 device yet, maybe if I need it. So I'd like to try these things first. And given that we already know, our car runs out of gas and it runs out of oil and we have to replace those things, right? And our bodies, when we reach menopause, like the declining production of hyaluronic acid and estrogen is real. It's a real thing and it doesn't get better with time. So many of us are just like, I just want to give my body back what it used to make on its own. Tempted to write off the V-Sculpt on my taxes. Okay, I don't know if that's a thing, but you can circle back and let me know. I grew up in Burford near Brantford, Paris, and London, Ontario. Hi, everybody. This is so great. So great. Really appreciate your input. Pure what? Pure is the name of pharmacy. I think that's your question. My healthcare provider just retired. Okay, so I might be able to help you, point you into a direction for somebody that can take care of you at this point of your life. And Pure Pharmacy, thank you. And thank you. Wow, you guys are good. You actually don't need me because you're answering each other's questions. So that's amazing. I am so grateful to do this work. Ingrid, yes, I can recommend, give you a recommendation for pelvic floor physio on the North Shore. In fact, one of my best videos on my YouTube channel is with a pelvic floor physio named Jillian McCormick, and she explains everything that you can expect from a pelvic floor physio. So I'm going to include that in your email tomorrow as well, and everyone can watch that and learn what it's like to work with a pelvic floor physio. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share this time with you tonight. Thank you for putting your own name at the top of your to-do list. And I really just want to remind everybody, if you have already, then please pay it forward and invite all your friends. But if you haven't already, please sign up for the Menopause Masterclass on June 15th. Some of these things might make more sense after you've taken the masterclass, as we go through all the roles and responsibilities of our hormones, common experiences in both perimenopause and postmenopause. And we spend a considerable amount of time walking through what we need to do as we're standing at this window of opportunity to invest in our future heart health, brain health, bone health, and vaginal health. So the link for that class is at menopause-masterclass.com. It's on June 15th. I'll send you the replay if you can't make the time, but I do it every month on the 15th of the month. So I hope that you will register, and there's a ton of bonuses included. A copy of my book, a gift card for purepharmacy.com, and you have access to me for 30 days of one-to-one private testing. So if you need anything, like a clarification on something that you heard or thought you heard, or directions to building your own midlife health team, then I am happy to be your tour guide for that. Thanks, everybody. I think there's one more question. Okay, I don't know your first name, but can you I know you want help finding a practitioner to support you during perimenopause, and you're welcome. And you can message me through Facebook in the Menopause Chicks Community, and I'd be happy to support you. And that's great. Thanks everybody for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Don't forget to moisturizeyourvagina.com.